Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we're back again with another alliance war, this time against KENOB. So these guys have a stacked defense. They're champions of several past seasons, so it's definitely bound to be an interesting war. And we brought in Warlock, Quake and Nick Fury for first fight where my opponents are hidden. I chose to take in Warlock just because he doesn't really have inherently all that many bad matchups. However, here we found one, because if Elsa Bloodstone has bleed on her, I do take a lot of degen damage for as long as that bleed lasts, and since this guy is running suicides, I basically degenerated down to 29% just for entering the fight. So it's one of those fun and interactive mechanics, but hey, we still survived and we're gonna finish off this fight. Definitely started off much worse than I wanted it to, and it is a bit cheeky kind of thing to do with Suicide Masteries where these opponents are still hidden. So it's definitely kind of like a good sneaky placement over there. However, next fight we have Masochism and Bubble Shield, basically what we have to contend with. And once again, I kind of want to take in my Warlock now. I know I lost a lot of health, but I do decide to heal him up and head in the fight regardless. Let's check out who it is in a second, and it does turn out to be Void. Now Void is not a bad matchup at all. I do have a fairly flimsy start where I do take 5 hits in a block, so I can only afford to take another 3 hits in a block before he goes unblockable. But hey, so that just means I'm gonna have to play a bit more careful. Now I do have a very good timing on my 10 hit combo just to remove the debuff pretty much like immediately. And now that we do have some infections on this Void, first of all, I do not have to worry about a heal of Masochism. Second of all, it also can kind of like work against Bubble Shield node. As you can see, we have taken a few more hits in a block, however that counter hasn't gone up, and once again we do take a parry and we still remain on 7 counters. So Warlock does work extremely well on Bubble Shield nodes, and now fight is nearly over at this point. So it started a bit dodgy, but it's not the cleanest fight. However, it's still nothing kind of like too tragic. Another level 2, 1 minute gun in the fight, and the fight is over. 68 hits. So Warlock did his job just fine. Took him in against a random matchup and we did just fine. Now I'm not going to be taking this Aegis heavy node. I'm leaving that for my teammates, and this was it for my contribution in section 1 for the war. Now in section 2, this time on path 4, so I am super happy that I get to play on different paths this time, and it's Dormammu. And since it's Dormammu, I decided to kind of take it easy, because why not? We're just going to use Quake, and that's about it. We're just going to Quake him down. Now, I know many of you guys do not like to see too much Quake gameplay. Therefore, I promise you guys there isn't going to be too much of it. I think I only use Quake for 3 fights total. And then the rest of it is Nick Fury and Warlock. But yeah, so as we can see, Quake does what she's supposed to do. She's sitting in corner awaiting every single attack from this Dormammu, and at the same time basically ignoring all of this guy's abilities. This guy has no stun immunity, nothing like that, so the fight is also kind of fairly easy. Now I do definitely have to mention that Dormammu is one of those AIs that when he gets pounding at you, he does seem to be like extremely aggressive and relentless, and you do struggle at times to build up your aftershock charges just because for how tanky that guy is, you can definitely see that he is also quite quick on offense and doesn't really want to give me too much openings to charge my heavy attacks. And but I know I could have simply parried in this fight, but I wanted to see if I can finish on a full yellow bar without taking a single scratch from him, and that is exactly what we do. So this fight's now over, pretty much perfect. Didn't take any hits in a block or any hits to the face. And now we're moving on next fight, and next fight is going to be Havok. Now, as we all know, Havok is a fairly tricky defender. However, there is a fairly easy way around his abilities, and that is if you have an armor up buff, you're basically immune to all of those detonations and all of that damage. So that's why Warlock is here. Warlock is a fantastic matchup against Havok pretty much everywhere where you see that guy, even on a boss node. Since we have armor up, I'm not worried about plasma detonations. Also, this guy is running suicides, and with suicides come willpower, and with that also comes the fact that as soon as I'm going to get my infection on this guy, he will be in fact losing his power constantly, which is going to make the fight even easier, and which also kind of lets me to ignore the strike back node because I don't have to worry about it at all. plus the heal block, which is provided by infection, also make sure he's taking more damage. Now I'm going into my level 2, and the fight is over. Super simple, quick, easy fight against Havok. Who doesn't like that? Warlock absolutely destroyed that little guy. And now, next fight, I'm going to be moving on to take this Korg. Now, I do think I wasn't really meant to be fighting against this guy, but I was bored. And my Quake's full health. So since there is no brute force on this middle fight, we will simply be taking in Quake. And other than that, the fight is quite simple. I mean, he has limited immunity, I believe, at the beginning of the fight, and he obviously does go unblockable and unstoppable and whatnot because it's Korg, and there's also a node for unblockable. But we don't care about that. We can evade all of his attacks, sit in the corner, sit tight, and just do our thing. Korg is extremely good matchup for Quake. Only kind of annoying thing in this matchup is the class disadvantage itself, because that lowers your damage output. And as we can see, I'm not running any boosts or suicides for this war at all. So the fights do take a bit longer. But other than that, it's once again super easy, basic fight with Quake. Just sit in your corner, wait everything he throws at you. His AI animations are also fairly clear. You can easily distinguish when he's finishing his combos, or which hit is meant to be which one, and therefore you have quite an easy time kind of like dodging everything this guy might throw at you. And now that limited immunity has worn off, we're also able to stun him. Because of concussion, he's not able to shrug those stuns off. So we're overall having pretty much a perfect time chilling in our corner, watching his health drain down slowly but surely. And as I mentioned before, lack of boosts and suicides obviously do lower my damage output, but that's not too important. I'm just gonna have to do this fight for a few seconds longer now. Minute and 25 seconds in the fight, he is at 44% health, so we can see that we will be making it in fact on time. We don't have too much to worry about there. We will not be in risk of timing out at all, even without the boosts and suicides. And yeah, so that's pretty much how the fight goes. That big pile of rocks that everybody hates, that I hate. He's one of the characters I despise in this game most, just because he has pretty much no offensive utility, and he's created with a single sole purpose to suck units, money, and potions out of your stash. Because yeah, nobody plays him in offense. It's just used as a champion to beat you down in quests and war, but whatever. Anyways, so we can see that we still have 50 seconds left. He's at 9%, so we're well within the time. This fight was like 2 minutes or something, so not too bad. And yeah, Quake goes down, and we're still on a full yellow bar, which that means we have not taken a single hit in block. It means we haven't taken a single hit to the face, which I'm quite happy about. I always like finishing these wars with like a full Quake. That means that I can pat on my back and say I did a good job with her. And now we're going to be fighting against Domino and this kinetic instigator node plus safeguard. So it is quite popular placement for Dominos. Typically when I'm in a season war, I do have like Black Widow with me with Quake, and that's who I use. I just Quake these Dominos. However, since it's off-season war, I wanted to have a bit more fun. That's why we have Warlock in here, and that's why we're using him. Now she does have Suicide Masteries on, which is obviously helpful. The recoil damage is kind of doing the job for me. Also, we do have infections on her, and she does have willpower, so whenever we do place a debuff on her, she's losing some chunk of power, which is cool, and which is something we want to abuse on. Like now, I'm dropping my level 2, placing those armor breaks on, and she's immediately starting to lose power as well, which lets us to be quite aggressive. We don't have as many special attacks to bait out, which wouldn't be the worst thing to do anyways, just because of the recoil, but I do find this to be more fun way how to take her down, I suppose. And yeah, so we are managing to maintain a good amount of infections on her. She does sneak in evade there, but we managed to evade it just on time. I also have these 3 evade counters from Nick Fury Quake Synergy, just to kind of like save my bottom if I do make a mistake. But so far so good. She's at 7% left, just basically a couple combos, and she will go down just like that. 1 minute 20-second fight, nothing kind of like too sketchy or scary, even despite all of those evades and whatnot. But yeah, so the fight is over here, and now I'm basically talking to my team, which mini bosses should I take. I also do end up taking the main boss. However, here is the one like big regret about this war, because I absolutely enjoy this war. I think it has fantastic amount of different fights and footage. However, I did lose the Invisible Woman solo. I am going to take her. I am going to solo that Invisible Woman using my Nick Fury, but I did lose that footage. On the bright side though, I already have a couple of Invisible Woman solos on my channel, so you can definitely check those out. One is a special cutout video just for that, and then there's another full war video where I solo Invisible Woman. However, now we are going to be dealing with this Dismay Immune thing. Now, again, in a season war, I would have taken in Quake, because Quake has a fantastic matchup over here. However, we have Warlock. I like playing Warlock. He's a little goofball, and I wanted to see how this is going to go down. And I had a suspicion that he will also well be running Suicide Masteries, therefore I figured how bad can it be? He's going to be practically killing himself, and I just wanted to see how much damage I can do by myself, and that is exactly what we're doing here. Now, Warlock does not have a great thing matchup. I definitely do have to add that, just because you do have shocks on level 1, which he's immune to, so you basically have no point in throwing your level 1s. And number 2, he's also immune to armor break, which means your level 2s will deal less damage. And lastly, this Dismay mini boss is immune to all the debuffs, so you can't even parry stun him, and that means you can't really make your infection work in conjunction with willpower either. So this definitely was a bit of a dodgy matchup. I should have just brought in Quake and be done with it. However, we're still not having too bad of a time with it. 48 hits in 1 minute in the fight. He's at 57%, and now I do need to be a bit careful with obviously his rock stack charges and the fact that infections can also prevent those from applying, and that kind of can throw you off, but it can also be helpful at times. Like now, I did make a slip up. I did push him to 16th rock stack charge, and Nick Fury synergy with Quake had to save me, which is kind of, thank God it was there, because otherwise, as we all know, this mini boss has Dismay on it. I had like 70 hit combo, means I'd be losing a lot of health quickly. But hey, so we're safe from that one, and now we just have to finish off the fight. He's at 24%, minute and 10 seconds left in the fight. We will not struggle with our time, but however, that is largely due to Suicide Masteries and recoil. So if this would be a season war, I don't think I would be able to close this fight out. Definitely unboosted, I wouldn't be able to do this fight with Warlock if he hadn't had recoil on. But hey, it works out in the end. Warlock finishes the fight. Didn't take a single hit from that thing, largely thanks to Nick Fury and Quake synergy, and now we're ready to move on. And now, as we can see, I'm out of energy, so I had to ask for a teammate of mine to kind of like walk me down to these mini bosses, which is what I do. And now we have enhanced special 1 stun immune Spider-Man. Now this is one of the original annoying matchups. However, I do have Nick Fury, and the plan with Nick Fury, in all honesty, is kind of get hit in the face a bit at the beginning just to get some more tactical charges, because if we are above 5 tactical charges, we can shut down all the evades. So now that we are at 5 tactical charges, we absolutely have nothing to worry about. He is not going to evade. We throw our level 1, which gives us 4 more tactical charges. Yes, they are expiring, however, we are able to get to our level 1s at sufficient pace to make sure that we always will have more than 5 of these on. So even Nick Fury, even like without using his second life ability, is perfectly capable of dealing with these evaders. And yeah, only thing I have to worry about is evading obviously this Spider-Man's level 1. However, if I do make a mistake, nothing too bad will happen. I'll simply trigger my second life and I'll finish the fight off afterwards. But as we can see, the fight's nearly over. Nick Fury had absolutely no problems dealing with this Spider-Man. So yeah, the base idea is once you get to your kind of like first couple of level 1s, you're pretty much safe anyways. And now we're gonna have last fight that I have recorded. It's gonna be 200% power gain Stark Spider-Man, and just to make it easy on myself, I will use Quake for this one. It's gonna be a fairly quick fight, nothing much to worry about. We can ignore the enhanced level 2, we can ignore the increased power gain, just because we're not going to be striking him. Now, one thing I wanted to check myself though is, as we are still on a full yellow bar without taking a single hit in a block or face, I wanted to make sure I finished that way, and that was kind of like my biggest worry in this phase. I just wanted to finish it on a full yellow bar. And that is exactly what we're trying to do. We're not going to be taking any parries, nothing like that. And spoiler alert, we will manage to do just that. We will finish these 3 fights with Quake without taking a single hit in our block, which I'm quite happy about. But yeah, unfortunately, I am still kicking myself for losing the footage of Invisible Woman fight with Nick Fury, but it went fairly standard. I got to my first level 1, got hit in the process, gained a couple of charges and dropped my level 1. She could not evade anymore and got to my second level 1, went unblockable and just minced in her, and the fight was over in a minute. So yeah, it is a super easy fight using Nick Fury, and as we can see here, I did in fact kill the boss. It was a solo, didn't use any more items, and yeah, that will pretty much do for today's video, and yeah, see you guys.